story by French author Guy de Maupassant. Certainly, at this blessed epoch of the equality of mediocrity, of rectangular abomination, as Edgar Allan Poe says, at this delightful period when everybody dreams of resembling everybody else, so that it has become impossible to tell the President of the Republic from a waiter, in these days which are the forerunners of that promising, blissful day, when everything in this world will be of a dull, neutral uniformity. Certainly, at such an epoch, one has the right, or rather it is one's duty, to be ugly. Le Beau, however, assuredly exercised that right with the most cruel vigor. He fulfilled that duty with the fiercest heroism, and to make matters worse, the mysterious irony of fate had caused him to be born with the name of Le Beau, while an ingenious godfather, the inconscious accomplice of the pranks of destiny, had given him the Christian name of Antinous. Even among our contemporaries, who were already on the high road to the coming ideal of universal ideousness, Antinous Le Beau was remarkable for his ugliness, and one might have said that he positively threw zeal, too much zeal, into the matter. Though he was not ideous like Mirabeau, who made people exclaim, "Oh, the beautiful monster!" Alas, no, he was without any beauty of ugliness. He was ugly, that was all, nothing more nor less. In short, he was uglily ugly. He was not hump-backed, nor knock-kneed, nor pot-bellied. His legs were not like a pair of tongs, and his arms were neither too long nor too short. And yet, there was an utter lack of uniformity about him, not only in painters' eyes, but also in everybody's, for nobody could meet him in the street without turning to look after him and thinking, "Good heavens, what an object!" His hair was of no particular color, a light chestnut mixed with yellow. There was not much of it. Still, he was not absolutely bald, but just bald enough to allow his butter-colored pate to show. Butter-colored, hardly. The color of margarine would be more applicable, and such pale margarine. His face was also like margarine, but unadulterated margarine certainly. His cranium, the color of an unadulterated margarine, looked almost like butter in comparison. There was very little to say about his mouth, less than little. The sum total was nothing. It was a chimerical mouth. But take it that I have said nothing about him, and let us replace this vain description by the useful formula, impossible to describe. But you must not forget that Antinous Le Beau was ugly, that the fact impressed everybody as soon as they saw him, and that nobody remembered ever having seen an uglier person. And let us add, as the climax to his misfortune, that he thought so himself. From this, you will see that he was not a fool, and not ill-natured either, but, of course, he was unhappy. An unhappy man thinks only of his wretchedness, and people take his nightcap for a fool's cap, while, on the other hand, goodness is only esteemed when it is cheerful. Consequently, Antinous Le Beau passed for a fool, and an ill-tempered fool. He was not even pitied because he was so ugly. He had only one pleasure in life, and that was to go and roam about the darkest streets on dark nights, hear the street walker say, "Come home with me, you handsome dark man." It was, alas, a furtive pleasure, and he knew that it was not true. For occasionally, when the woman was old or drunk, and he profited by the invitation, as soon as the candle was lighted in the garret, they no longer murmured the fallacious handsome dark man. When they saw him, the old woman grew still older, and the drunken woman could get sober. And more than one, although hardened against disgust and ready for all risks, said to him, in spite of liberal payment, "My little man, I must say, you are most confoundedly ugly." At last, however, he renounced even that lamentable pleasure, when he heard the still more lamentable words which the wretched woman, who could not help uttering, when he went home with her. "Well, I must have been very hungry." Alas, it was he who was hungry, unhappy man, hungry for something that should resemble love, were it ever so little. He longed not to live like a pariah any more, not to be exiled and proscribed by his ugliness, and the ugliness, the most repugnant woman who have appeared beautiful to him, if she would only not think him ugly, or at any rate not tell him so, and not let him say that she felt horror at him on that account. The consequence was that when he one day met a poor, blear-eyed creature, with her face covered with scabs and bearing evident signs of alcoholism, with a drivelling mouth and ragged and filthy petticoats, to whom he gave liberal alms, for which he kissed his hand, he took her home with him, had her cleansed, dressed, and taken care of, made her his servant, and then his housekeeper. Next, he raised her to the rank of his mistress, and finally, of course, he married her. She was almost as ugly as he was, almost, but certainly not quite, for she was hideous, and her hideousness had its charm and its beauty, no doubt. That's something by which a woman can attract a man, and she had proved that by deceiving him, and she let him see it better still, by seducing another man. That other man was actually uglier than he was. He was certainly uglier, a collection of every physical and moral ugliness, a companion of beggars, whom she had picked up among her former vagrant associates, a jailbird, a dealer in little girls, a vagabond covered with filth, with legs like toads, with a mouth like a lamprey's, and a death's head, in which the nose had been replaced by 2 holes. "And you have wronged me with a wretch like that," the poor cuckold said, "and in my own house, and in such a manner that I might catch you in the very act. And why, you wretch? Why, seeing that he is uglier than I am?" "Oh, no," she exclaimed, "you may say what you like, that I am a dirty slut and a strumpet, but do not say that he is uglier than you are." And the unhappy man stood there, vanquished and overcome by her last words, which he uttered without understanding all the horror which he would feel at them. Because you see, he has his own particular ugliness, while you are merely ugly like everybody else